Greetings, Pilgrim. It's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and you are listening to the Sense of Wonder podcast. And you're probably wondering about this episode. This is a refutation of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and I'll explain. Many years ago, I took a journalism class in college, and I didn't do it because I wanted to be a journalist or a reporter or anything like that. I did it because I wanted to, improve my writing ability and writing skills and, learn some new insights about writing and just overall beneficial to my, chosen profession as a writer. And one thing I do remember very much from that class, and this is something that every newsroom in the world knows, every news magazine, every news website, they all know this phrase. And the phrase is, if it bleeds, it leads. And that's an interesting thing because, and it's true. The front page of the website, the front page of the newspaper or magazine or whatever, if it's, something really terrible or crime or whatever, it's going to sell newspapers. And that's just part of human nature, We gravitate towards those things. They're very interesting to us. And, we put out money to hear about them. And so let's go over a list here about what's currently going on in the world. Now, yes, there's a lot of talk on the internet about, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, Armageddon, the rapture, earthquakes and volcanoes and wars and crime and tsunamis and unrest and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And I want to propose to you that, while none of those things are really good for humanity, they're nothing new. And I'll try to explain by saying, let's say there are 9 billion people on the earth, if that number is correct. And let's say that each one of those 9 billion people has, on the average, 5 interactions with another person every day. That's 45 billion human interactions every day. So if you look at it in the context of that, and you say, 44.99 billion of those are benign, nice, average, just typical run-of-the-mill, sometimes even beautiful. Interactions. And we have to you have to take that into context and realize that, the world has been turning as the world has been turning for a very long time, and human beings have been doing what human beings do. And yes, there are bad things in the world, but I really don't think we should. You got to realize that because when it bleeds, it leads, we're getting a skewed perspective of what's really happening in the world. There are billions and billions of people that have average everyday lives, living however they live in whatever culture, country, community, family they live in, and everything's pretty much fine. That's a large share of the human condition. And I also wanted to say, too, that I read a statistic, and I don't know if this is true, but in the church, any one moment in time of any single day, there are 6,000 masses going on. So right now there are 6,000 masses being held. An hour from now there's still 6,000, And I think that's important because in the church, and some of the main tenets of the church are build community, be kind to others, treat other people as you would want them to be treated, forgive people for their trespasses, and ask forgiveness for your own trespasses and try to be a better person, So I think that's a very positive thing that's going on in the world. So that's what I wanted to say, that, don't let the skewing of the algorithms make you think the world is worse than it really is, because the world is not. And yes, earthquakes happen and tsunamis and wars do happen and people do suffer. But it's not what they want us to think it is, because they're just trying to sell us. Your eyeballs are valuable. Your eyeballs make money. So that's what I wanted to say. And, don't worry too much about all of that. Live your life. Focus on having good interactions with other people. Try to be a good pilgrim. Remember, we're all in this together. It's a big dream. And we're not dreaming alone. We're dreaming together. So I'm going to leave you. We started out with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And I wanted to leave you with the feeling of there is profound beauty in the world. And human beings do beautiful and wonderful things. And so I wanted to leave you with the 4 swans. We started with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and we're going to end this podcast with the 4 swans from Swan Lake. Remember, the whole darn thing is a beautiful gift. Never lose that sense of wonder.